We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Robert. What 60-inch or larger TV would we recommend for $1,500 or less? He has an Oppo BDP 203, so it would be nice to have HDR10 and Dolby Vision if possible. This has got to be a Vizio, right? I don't know what you're going to recommend, but it's got to be a Vizio.
Yeah. Honestly, Robert, I would ask you, is your room always dim to dark while you're watching, or is your room quite well lit? Because if it's dim to dark, go with a Vizio. All right. The P65 in the P series, it's a little bit over $1,500 right now, but not a whole lot. So that's a really nice TV. It does Dolby Vision. It doesn't reach the super bright peak brightness. All right. It tops out around 750, 800 nits. It doesn't quite get to 1,000. If you want to make sure you're well under $1,500, you've got the M series, their M65. I mean, both of these are larger than 60-inch models, but that one's only $1,300. And that one does Dolby Vision in that, and it gets up to 700, 750 nits. So if you're in a dim to dark room, the Vizios are an easy recommendation. If you're in a bright room, then having the extra light output is probably more important than having Dolby Vision. And if you have all that extra light output, there isn't such a big difference between HDR10 and Dolby Vision because you don't have to tone map if you have the brightness to spare. So it's not really that big a deal. In that case, you'd want to go with what is probably the best reasonably inexpensive choice for a bright room with HDR, and that's Samsung's KS8000 series. Yes, that is a 1-year-old model number now, but all of their new models from Samsung are like crazy overpriced right now. So the KS 8000s are still out there. You can get a 65-inch for $1,500 from Amazon. So if you have a bright room, that's the choice. It doesn't do Dolby Vision, but not such a big deal since it can get over 1,000 nits.
So he asks, is there any good 4K, nope, or Wobble K projectors for $1,500 or less that can fill a 106-inch screen mounted 11 feet away? So this is
not
both
new.
Yeah, I was going to say not new. What about the JVC we were just talking about not too long ago? Wasn't that around $1,500? Was that what he said?
No, 3,500.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I take it back.
Yeah, no, the Epson 5040 UB is the least expensive, like buying brand new, that can do Wobble K and HDR10. It's $2,700 right now. So yeah, $1,500 or less. No, the answer is no, unless you find a great deal on a used model.
Right. So he says both would be used in the living room, so the TV will be viewed in ambient light and dark, but the projector will only be viewed in fairly dark conditions. But yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so he's saying ambient light and dark. I mean, how bright is that ambient light? Because if you can control the ambient light so it's dim, then the Vizio, going back to the TV, I would lean towards myself. I like the full array local dimming rather than the edge lighting, the deeper black levels, that type of thing. But if you're in a very bright room all the time, then you want the higher light output. So, but yeah, the projector thing, we're not quite there. I got to wait a little while for prices to drop.
Right. Roberto has a problem with his new Denon X2300W. He has an older Newmark TT-USB turntable that he's been using through a Sonos Connect amp with no problems for the last year. Since he has built-in preamp with gain control, there's no need for a dedicated phono input, so he connected to the Denon CD RCA input and fired it up. Within seconds, the Denon went into projection mode. He thought that the gain might be up too high, so he turned it all the way down and tried again. Once again, projection mode. I keep saying projection mode. That was not what it is. He had already watched 2 episodes of Iron Fist before adding the turntable, and everything was fine then. So any ideas on what could be causing this to happen? You have a short someplace.
Yes, for sure.
A short. That's right.
And so the really pedantic answer is it's almost always speaker wire.
It is.
And he's like, it was working before, so how could it be speaker wire? I'm like, well, you plugged in something new. Maybe you jiggled a speaker wire.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I have actually I've experienced this before where people are like, I was watching something for 2 hours, no problem. And then this happened. And I changed the channel and this happened. It must be because I changed the channel. I'm like, you were watching something for 2 hours. You were generating heat for 2 hours. The speaker wire was slowly bending for 2 hours. The one stray one was slowly bending for 2 hours. And then poof, it shorted and pops itself back up. And then everything went into projection mode. And it took it a while to turn it back on. You turned it back on. And then you changed the channel again. And while you were waiting, the heat was building back up and building back up. And it popped over again. This is what happens. It's fine. No one's saying you're a bad person. But at the same time, correlation does not equal causation in this case.
Right.
And just because...
It's an unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah, it's a coincidence here. So what happened is you've almost certainly got a stray speaker wire someplace.
Almost always that. Even when you really, really think it isn't.
I know.
Almost always that. I would say...
it couldn't even be there was a stray speaker wire pointing towards like the CD input, right?
I mean, I'm really thinking like when you bring the RCA cable from the turntable, like most things are hanging downward from your AV receiver. That cable is hanging down and it brushed against one of your speaker wires.
Yeah.
Right? It's that type of thing. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility that the RCA inputs themselves have a fault. So you could do the simple thing of unplug the turntable from those particular RCA inputs, plug it into one of the other pair of RCA inputs, and see if that does it. But even then, I'll bet it's because you moved the cable and it brushed a speaker wire.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm sorry, Roberto, but I know it sounds like annoying, but that is almost always the cause.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.